Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 40 of the Give 'em Heck podcast. I'm Brian. This is your host, Penny. We're very happy to be back. We hope you all had a great Memorial weekend. It was busy for us, but very enjoyable.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yes, I ate more than I should have. But yeah, we're happy to be back, and I do have an announcement to make, but we're going to be cheeky and leave it at the end of the video.
Cheeky.
So you guys have to watch all of it. I'm just kidding. But yes, stay tuned for the end of the episode for when we make that announcement. We're very excited for this next little step. I'm sure some of you probably can guess where I'm gonna go, but other than that, I'd say we get this party started.
All right, so I'm going to read our disclaimer, as I always do, that we are not doctors, psychologists, or counselors. We are not given any medical or psychological advice. We are just simply here to discuss real life situations to give hope, encouragement, and instill change. So, in our last episode, Brian, which would have been, I think, 2 weeks ago, that episode was called The Preparation. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
So, I know you probably can't remember verbatim what you had said. Maybe you can. What do you think of when I say the preparation?
What comes to my mind is, I guess it would depend on the context. Can't remember if I said that in last week's episode either, but I guess as far as life, it's more of like just preparing for the best, putting yourself in a position where even if things don't go right, you're still going to prepare for the good things. You're still going to put up your sails and go on ahead. Because, and I know I think I made this analogy of, or not an analogy, the example of that show or that movie Facing the Giants.
Yes, you did.
Which I'll just summarize real quick. It's about somebody who has a football team and they weren't doing too well. And at the end of the episode, or the end of the movie, he was going to make a really crazy move. And somebody had looked at him and was like, "What are you doing?" It was, "I'm preparing for rain."
Right.
And in the context, it means I'm preparing for this drought to be over, to finally get the win.
Wow.
You know.
And it's funny that you say that, because you had just said prepare for the best. And the saying usually goes that you hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
I've always heard it as hope for the best, assume the worst.
Wow. Why does it always have to be the worst? Is that okay? I don't know.
Well, why are you focusing on the worst?
Well,
There's nothing wrong with preparing for things to go wrong, but keeping your head up in the midst of a storm is what is very inspiring.
True. But
I think that, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think a lot of times we're too focused on the bad, even when we're surrounded by the good. You know, it's like, and I'm going to get a little controversial here, but this has been on my mind recently the past few days, and we can expound on it if the episode allows, but it's like the gas prices. You know, you can sit here and point at any reason why. I don't care the reason, right? My point is gas prices are high, right? Mm-hmm. We can all say that.
Yeah.
However, big deal. Get over it. You complaining about it is not going to make them go down. Mm-hmm. There's much more important things in life to worry about than spending an extra dollar or two on gas. Now, my other side of that coin is that we might think gas prices are expensive where we are. I know for a fact in other parts of the world, gas prices is almost double what we're paying, if not triple. So my point in saying that is, and it's not to get into a whole discussion on just gas prices, but my point is again, we focus on the negative. We focus on the inconvenient instead of focusing on the things that really matter.
Okay, so you say focus on the things that really matter. But why is it, Brian, that it seems like in life people tend to focus on the worst?
Because human nature, for some strange reason, always likes to find something to complain about or someone to point the finger at.
But does it also have to do with the expectation of the worst is usually always there, so that's why we do that?
No, that's a choice.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a choice. That has nothing to do with anything, it's a mindset and it's a choice. Nobody forces you to get up in the morning and look at the price of gas and then throw a fit. That's a choice. Sure, it sucks. I can name about 200 things in my life that suck right now. But do you see me going around and, going and complaining about it online? That ain't going to do anything except get other people riled up. Probably people that probably have a lot stronger of negative mindset toward it than you do. You're just kicking the beehive, Maybe instead of being negative all the time, why don't we focus more on being thankful for the things that we have?
Wow, I guess that's what I was getting at. Why aren't people more like that? And I'm to blame, because I do. Most times I will most times just, I guess out of habit, we'll use that word loosely, I just always assume that things are going to go bad.
Well, again, there's nothing wrong with assuming that things are going to go bad. It's like, I'll use a very tame example. If you get up out of bed in the morning, there's going to be at least a percentage of a chance that you're going to bang your foot up against something. That doesn't mean you walk around tiptoeing around your house all day.
I see.
You know what I mean? You hyperfixating on the negative, or anybody, is a choice. No one, again, I've said this many times in other episodes, and it pertains to what the example that I just gave with the gas prices, or any situation in general, really. No one said life was going to be fair. Nobody said life was going to be easy. And at the end of the day, you sitting in your room complaining about problems aren't just going to magically make them go away.
True. Yeah.
It's like all of the bills that people have. I can yell, scream, and holler about my bills all day, but at the end of the day, I'm still the one that's going to have to pay for them. I'm just being real. I'm not saying the arguments aren't valid.
Right.
Like I said, gas prices, for example, are high. But what is me going and complaining about it going to do about it? It's not going to do anything. And there are proper routes to make your voice heard, but to me, it's just tiring because, and I'm sure a lot of you probably know this too, but it's like on social media, you're just bombarded with a bunch of negative stuff. Nobody talks about the things that we have that 200 years ago we didn't have.
Right.
It's like medical bills. That's another one. You and I can both sit here and agree that the medical industry is expensive.
Yep.
Well, what's the alternative? Do you think 200 years ago people could just pack up their kids and go down to the ER? We become so desensitized to the things that we have that when things go wrong, that's all we focus on. We became complacent with evil and then became intolerant of the blessings.
Right.
When they were taken away.
So it's more about not being grateful, I think basically is what you're saying.
Yeah, not being grateful. I mean, that could be part of it. I mean, you don't have to get up in the morning and just go, wow, I'm so happy I have a car. But at the same time, you don't realize that extra $1.50 or $2 you're paying for that gas, at least you have a car, that you could be walking.
Yeah.
And it's like the same argument, and I don't mean to get hooked on it so much. It's been the thing that I've been seeing the most of recently. That's a perfect example of this. It's that, you see people complaining about the gas prices being so high. Meanwhile, they're driving a truck. You know, I literally watched a guy on TikTok last night who got out of his lifted GMC Denali, and then he had the audacity to look at the gas pump and it said $128, which, yeah, we can both sit here and say that's a lot of money for gas, but maybe get a fuel efficient car.
There's ways to fix things, I guess, huh?
There are alternatives.
Yeah, it's true.
And you could say, well, maybe he needs that truck. Okay, well then don't complain when you spend a lot at the gas pump. I'm just being real. Again, it doesn't make the argument, or not the argument, it doesn't make the fact that the gas prices are high, but you complaining about it in your lifted truck does not.
It's not justifiable.
It's not. You know, I have a little Nissan Sentra. I get 43 miles of the gallon and I fill up every 2 weeks for with the price of $42. Like, yeah, I could have probably filled that car up like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, more or less. It probably would have cost me $22 to fill that. But you know what? It's still fuel efficient. It's things like that. It's not just the gas price argument. It's any argument you can think of something that is inconvenient. You know, you look at those things and you hyperfixate on it instead of being thankful that you even have a car to drive,
Right.
or have a family to come home to, or a roof over your head. And if you don't have those things, then you have to realize that there are people out there that are doing far worse than you. So to answer your question in a very roundabout way, people do hyperfixate on the negative by choice.
Okay.
I don't think there's any reason for it. It's just choice. You don't have to do that. Okay? I'm just being real.
So try to find the good things.
Or at least realize that there's good with bad.
Oh, yeah, there is.
That's just life.
Yeah.
You know, if anybody ever comes to me and is like, man, I just got treated this way and I don't think it was very fair, I will say, man, you know, I'm sorry you had to deal with that, but no one said life was going to be fair.
That's right. Exactly. So in that podcast, Brian, of the preparation, we discussed miracles and coincidences.
Yes, I remember that.
Okay.
A little bit more on the spiritual side with that episode.
Yeah. And we can go wherever you want with this. Deep breaths. Okay. So in that particular episode, you have said that you believe in predestination.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to expound on that part for a minute before we go on?
Little disclaimer for our viewers, this may get spiritual, so if you don't believe in that or you don't agree with it,
You don't have
You
to.
don't have to.
You don't have to.
We're not beating you over the head with this. We're just giving our own opinions here.
Right.
I believe that life being predestined means there's an end goal for you, regardless of what that end goal is. But for me, it's not about the end. It's the journey you make to get there. And, you know, it's like we could both have the exact same destiny, but we took different roads to get there.
Right.
And the best way I can demonstrate that here and now is that you, the viewer, are watching this episode, and in spite of the dozens of people that are watching this, you all took different roads to get here, but all of your choices and routes you took led you to this video. That's the best example that I can give.
That's a great example.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So, when you say, Brian, that you believe in predestination, my next question to you is, so when is an event in your life a miracle, coincidence, or just basically planned out?
I think the way I described it in the last episode, and I still believe this to this moment, is that miracles, first of all, miracles happen more than we think they do, but they're probably not as obvious.
Not as obvious, or maybe not as plentiful.
maybe. I guess I could reword that a little better. They happen more than we think they do, but not probably as much as we'd want them to.
As often as we'd like them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And the way I define miracles is that it cannot be explained. It has to go beyond the physical.
You did say that.
It has to go to something that does not have any logical explanation. Like, there's no way that you could have gotten up from that, or there's no way you could have gotten past that. It has to be something that just cannot be explained.
So what about no coincidence?
Coincidence is just that, it's a coincidence.
So you believe in them?
Well, yeah.
Okay. I mean, some people don't. That's why
Well, I can make a
asked.
very funny example. In one of the games that I play, there's a certain thing you can get in this game that's like super rare. It's very hard to get. There's almost no guarantee of what you do to get it. It's just a chance thing, right?
Right.
But when I logged in, I hadn't logged in for more than 2 seconds, and I was standing on top of a rock, and I got the thing that people have spent everything to get, and I literally just got it. And my friend was like, I was just talking about that thing you got. And I define that as a coincidence, because that's,
Just, it happened.
it happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So although that you believe that your life is predestined, like already planned out for you, you believe that in that predestination of your life, a miracle and coincidences can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like I said, I think miracles are defined by things that cannot be explained, and coincidences are just that. They're coincidences.
Okay.
Like if you if you tripped and I just so happened to be in front of you, would you and catch you, would you define that as a miracle or just a really like more luck?
Luck.
Exactly, a lucky coincidence. You could say, well, if you deep dive into it, you think, wow, all of the choices you made that morning are what led you to be right in front of her when she tripped. Yeah, I guess you could, but at the same time, you were going to be fine if you did trip. It's not like you would have.
It wasn't life
Yeah,
changing.
Yeah, it wasn't life altering. Now, you could say it could have been. I don't know.
Right.
I just don't define miracles that way. If you do, great. I mean, I don't think it really matters how a miracle is defined. I think it matters more about what you do with your life, regardless of whether you witness a miracle or not. It's like making the most out of the moment you're in.
Okay. So I had given definitions in that particular podcast of a miracle and a coincidence. So a miracle is an effect or extraordinary event in the physical world that surpasses all known human or natural powers and is ascribed to a supernatural cause. Okay, you said that.
Yeah.
A coincidence is a remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. A coincidence is something that's not planned or arranged, but seems like it is. Technically, a coincidence is an occurrence of events that happen at the same time by total accident.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you believe that coincidences and miracles can work together?
I think in some circumstances, yeah, but I don't think they're tied to each other.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
All right. So in that particular episode, I had read this little part of a quote that I had found, and it says, "Miracles are the natural outcome of alignment. They are what happens when you finally stop trying to force life to obey our fear and instead allow life to unfold through our presence. When I look back over my life, the biggest turning points were not moments I planned or controlled. They were the moments I let go. We do not believe in miracles. We rely on them because this journey requires them. But it also came. The miracle is not the event. The miracle is who you became in the process."
Kind of goes with what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do with the moment you're in. Because if you want to roll really in depth with it, I think that life, and I know I said this in the
you did.
episode, but life in and of itself is a miracle.
Yeah.
So for me, your existence is the miracle. Now, what are you going to do with it?
That's deep. I like it. Now I got to think, so thanks. So I also had finished up that particular, we finished up that particular episode with a quote, and I'm going to read it. It's called, "Your whole life has been preparing you for this moment. Every twist and turn of your journey has not been random. It has been woven with care, precision, and love. Every heartbreak, every triumph, every season of waiting, each one carried codes and lessons meant to be awakened something deeper in you. The synchronicities weren't coincidences. The delays weren't punishments. The breakthroughs weren't luck. They were all part of a design far greater than you could see at the time. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you are meant to be in this moment, because the whole of your life has been preparing you for the awakening of who you truly are. Trust the design, live the awakening." You believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even among the worst of what we would consider a situation, it was stuff that, choices that were made to get you to that point. And what do I mean?
Yeah.
Let's take homelessness, for example. We often, and I've even had people approach me about this and, who have seen the show and be like, "Are you telling me that the homeless guy that I see down the street, that was his destiny?" And I said, no, he's still on his path. There are things that he could do to get himself out of that. But the choices that he makes keeps him there. And who knows what circumstances led him to that. Doesn't mean I'm not empathizing. It just means every decision made is by your own hand. You always have a choice. Again, your life is a miracle. What are you going to do with it?
What do you do when it's hard to get yourself out of, let's say, a situation like that? Because sometimes people push against you and keep you in that place. What do you do then?
That's where discipline comes in. You have to, and not just discipline from an outside perspective, but an inside perspective too. Because some people don't want to fight. Some people want things handed to them, instead of realizing that nobody is going to dig you up out of the pit that you dug yourself. And there are situations that can happen in life that other people were involved in. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're the one holding your own shovel. Are you going to keep digging? Or are you going to start tearing down the walls so that you can build up?
Interesting.
I know it's probably something that a lot of people don't like to hear, like, I'm in a really bad situation and I could point to 100 reasons why I'm in this situation. Yeah, and you probably could. I'm not going to sit here and say that anything that you could tell me about a situation that you're in is not valid. But the thing that I'm going to ask you is very simple before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do from here?
Yeah. Sometimes life puts your back against the wall, I think, Brian, to put you in a place where you have to fight.
Sometimes people do that, because again, it's like I've said before, life isn't fair and no one said it would be.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to fight harder than others to get yourself in a better position,
then fight. Mm-hmm.
Or else you'll just keep spinning your tires and not move.
Mm-hmm. But what some people would look at that and think it's a bad thing, but I think it can be a good thing sometimes, because you know what it does, Brian? It builds character.
Well,
I think you learn who you are in those moments, right?
I'm speaking from experience. I had choices where I could have just given up, where I could have just said it's too hard to move past this. And I think if I had given into that, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. And I can tell you that even though there were days where I had to fight, months I had to fight, years I had to fight, I can sit here and tell you it was worth it. Because it made me a better man because of it.
That's what I'm saying. Life can put you in those bad places, whatever that means, but it defines you. It builds character. I think it helps you to realize who you really are. You know, the old saying is that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? And I think that's what I'm saying when I say that, is that you don't know who you are until you fight that demon.
Your past doesn't define you, your actions do.
I like that.
And your actions show enough about yourself that you don't realize how bad you are to yourself until you look in the mirror.
That's good. Okay, so we're going to go into tonight's podcast. You good? You good? Okay. So tonight's podcast is entitled Still Breathing, Still Growing, Still Becoming. So what do you think of, Brian, when I say still breathing, still growing, still becoming?
I think it pretty much says it in the title. You're moving ahead. To me, it almost it brings to mind of somebody who's not backing down.
A fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to be, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to be. Because there's two kinds of people in this world ultimately. There are winners and there are losers. And, you know, the way you would define them is how you see how they live their lives, how they proceed in their lives. Somebody who doesn't want anything from themselves is essentially somebody who's not growing, not advancing. And then you get the other side of the coin where it's not necessarily just a hard worker. It's just somebody with ambition and inspiration. They're alive.
Right.
Instead of being a ghost in a shell.
Right. So with that being said, Brian, in that we've been talking about this before, I'm going to bring it into this one, is we talked about with the miracles. We said before that miracles have nothing to do with prayer or faith. Now, hang on with me, okay? So you've also said that when people pray, they often pray selfishly.
Almost all the time.
So you and I...
And if you are a Christian watching this, I may step on your toes, but hear me out.
We talked a little bit about this yesterday, remember? And maybe even this morning a little bit. So I asked you, how should people pray? Now, the reason I'm bringing this into play is because we're talking about people moving on from their, I don't want to say issues, but problems. We've been talking about miracles and coincidences. We've been talking about how people can better themselves and whatnot. And I know sometimes prayer is involved in that. So when you said to me yesterday that most times people pray selfishly, I asked you, then how should people pray?
Are you wanting me to answer now?
I'm asking you.
How people should pray is you pray, you know, you make known of what you want, but you pray that ultimately whatever decision is made, that it brings glory to God, not to me. I can't say, oh, well, this only happened because I prayed for it. Because that brings glory to you and not to God.
Even if you don't get what you want?
Yeah, because it's not all about you.
Meaning?
Well, why should I pray that, like, you know, if, I don't know, I'll give a kind of a offhand example. If I pray that God drops $1 million into my bank account and he doesn't do it, then I have someone to blame. But I can pray that God can give me the strength and the ability and the knowledge over time to be able to become a millionaire.
Okay.
And if it doesn't happen, then that doesn't necessarily mean that he, discarded the money that I asked for. It just means that either I haven't gotten there yet or it's not in his will.
Okay.
And over time, that can be revealed.
Mm-hmm.
But when you pray for what you want and it doesn't happen, then who do you point the finger at?
So should we even pray for miracles at all?
Well, I guess it depends on what you're praying for. I mean, there are hundreds of different examples throughout history of prayer that was successful, but I think it's all in accordance to where your mind is at and what you're asking for and the context of why you're asking for it.
But won't life just play out itself anyway, with or without the prayer?
Well, of course it will, but you don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes.
So what's the use in it?
Hope.
Well, I can hope without the prayer.
Yeah, and you can hope without God. Doesn't, I'm essentially saying it could be a crutch, it could be an emotional stability, it could be a multitude of things. You have your own reasons.
Okay.
It's not black and white for everybody across the board. Faith means something different to everybody.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear you say. Not because I want you to give me the answer I want you to give me, but I just wanted to see where you and I stood on this together.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think sometimes praying is hard because if the miracle's going to happen, or if the miracle's not going to happen, where does the prayer fall?
Well, it's hope. Like I said, it's hope. It's a form of hope.
Well, I can hope without praying.
And I said you can hope without God. You're missing the point. Point's going over your head. It's the whole concept behind what hope is. It's just believing that tomorrow things will be better. Without hope, what do you have? You have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You can live without faith, but you can't live without hope.
That's true.
Because what happens when you give up on hope? You don't try. You don't succeed. You don't take the risk to succeed. Because in failure, there's success. An advancement to the next step.
Growing.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
So you and I can pray for over a same situation for completely different reasons, but that doesn't mean that the prayer is any less valid. It just means who's being more selfish and whose may or may not come true.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when you give away a pet. You can pray that God will give them a good home by bringing some people into your lives that will take your dog away, but when your dog is gone, that's all you have is just hope.
Wow.
What are you going to do? Follow that family around the rest of the time they have the dog? And, which I'm sure some people have done, which is kind of crazy to think about. But you see my point,
Mm-hmm.
is that you're praying for something that's out of your hands.
Yep.
Now, are you praying for something selfishly to make you feel better? Or are you praying for whatever will happen will be the outcome that is the best?
Right. Right.
And to give you the peace and the comfort of knowing that regardless of what happens, that it wasn't about me.
Mm-hmm. And there's a point where I'm going, you're doing a good job.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I know. Shut up. So the reason I believe prayer has nothing to do with miracles, and don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't believe in praying, because I've done it, I do it, so there's that. But the reason I believe that prayer has nothing to do with miracles within themselves is because I believe that miracles are based off of timing.
In what way?
Well, because I could pray for $1 million tonight to be dropped into my bank account, but doesn't mean tomorrow morning when I wake up it's going to be there. But it also doesn't mean that maybe someday, sometime along the way of my life's journey, that $1 million won't show up. whether I had to earn it myself or someone gives it to me, or do you see what I'm trying to say?
I do, but you're not going to like the answer I have.
So you don't think miracles have to do with timing at all?
No, I'm just going to go off of the example you just gave. Why do you want that $1 million?
I don't care. I'm using it as an example.
No, I know you are, but I'm getting to a point. You praying for that $1 million
Okay, I see where you're going.
has selfish intent.
Selfish intent. What was wrong for me to ask for that anyway? Maybe I'm going to use that to help others.
It's true. You could. Context matters. However, I don't think most people, and I'm going by a vast majority, that would get $1 million. I mean, look at people who win lottery tickets. A lot of times they blow all the money they have.
True.
So I'm only going off of the majority. Is I guarantee you, if you were praying for $1 million, you were not considering using it for sympathetic means.
Okay.
Because that's not even how prayer in a common way is used. People, and I'm not saying, you, the viewer, if you pray, I'm not saying you specifically. I'm just, again, going by, listen to how people pray. I pray that I have a good day so I don't get stressed out. Why do I have to pray that way? Why can't I just pray that if I'm going to get stressed out today, just give me the strength to deal with it as time goes on? You see how the context changes? Because you're not necessarily praying for the bad thing to not happen. You're praying for the strength to deal with it when it happens.
But isn't that based off of timing? That's what I'm saying. I don't believe that prayer has anything to do with the miracle itself.
Well, I guess it would depend on what...
It's timing.
Prayer or miracles rely on timing? Back up a little bit.
Okay. So I believe that prayer has nothing to do with miracles.
Okay.
Because I believe miracles within themselves are based off of timing, not the prayer.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. I mean, see, the problem with that argument is that you're defaulting to time. Everything relies on time, even things that aren't spiritual. I guarantee you, sometime before I go to bed, I'm going to sneeze. It's only a matter of time. There, it's relying on time. Doesn't make the sneeze any more or any less inevitable. You saying it relies on time is kind of like, well, yeah.
Well, yeah, because
you're just defaulting.
Whether I pray or I don't for something, it can still happen. And then I can call it a miracle if I want to call it a miracle. But,
well, again,
contents, but...
It's what you're praying for that I think is where you're trying to make that correlation, but you're not quite getting there. Because when, for example, when I pray that, for example, God give me patience to deal with it. How do I know that I wouldn't have that patience that was given to me spiritually if I didn't ask for it?
Right. And I see what you're saying. So my question is, at the end of it is, so why pray at all?
Because how do you know that the prayer that you ask for yourself in regards to patience or discipline or the strength or whatever the case may be, how do you know you wouldn't be getting it? Because I get your point, and it makes sense, because why pray at all? My argument is I pray to give God glory, not for me.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, because that's what you're inadvertently trying to say, is that I have no one to give anything to, so why bother praying? No, you do. You're just inherently not going to, because, again, you're selfish, because not you specifically, but the context of it is that if you refuse to pray, then you're not willing to surrender yourself, to put yourself in a vulnerable position.
Okay.
It's like, let me ask you this.
Okay.
If you have money, like if you're a kid and you have enough money to buy a toy, but you don't want to spend that money, so you can ask your parents to maybe buy it for you or to help buy it, but you refuse to do it. It's all about timing. I can just save up more money and buy it myself. Then what's the point of even asking your parents? Well, it's so that you can kind of celebrate getting something with the help of your parents, or maybe your parents will be generous and get it for you. You don't know.
I see what you're doing. Okay.
Because at the end of the day, it's not about you. Prayer is not for you. Prayer is for help, but it's not for you. You are not getting any honor or glory out of it. You see what I'm getting? You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So that's the point.
Okay. My next question. So we've talked about prayer with the miracles. So what about as far as faith? So I believe that faith is really about basically just believing. But how does one determine whether you have enough faith or not?
There's no degree of faith.
So how does that fit in with prayer and miracles?
Well, I can use the example of you sitting in that chair right now. You have faith that that chair is going to hold you, right?
Yeah.
That's what faith is. Faith is just knowing that what I intend for something to do will do it. So you having faith in the prayer, that's how it aligns. It's believing. And I alluded to it earlier, and I'm going to circle back to it. Hope. It's in our...
So maybe that's really what it is, Brian. More than prayer, more than miracles, more than faith, it's hope. It has to be. Because no one can say that things happen because of having faith. Because like you said, how do you measure faith?
You can't. There is no degree of measurement.
So is hope the magic key?
It could be. I think the rabbit hole probably goes pretty deep if we really dove into it. But, it's like somebody who's like, if I look at a chair and it looks kind of stable, and I say, it might hold, but I'm not going to sit on it, I have no faith that it'll hold. I can't measure it and say, well, I'm 75% sure it'll hold me. No, I'm not going to bother sitting in it, so I have no faith in it. But if I sit in it, I'm obviously putting faith that the chair will hold me. There is no measurement of faith, realistically. Right. You're either in or you're out. That's why faith matters in the context of like spiritual stuff. You believe or you don't. There is no middle ground.
Where does hope fall into all of it? It covers all of it, right?
Hope is the blanket on the bed.
There you go.
It completes it.
It does.
Can't have a bed without covers.
You'll be very cold in this state. So when I think of the title that we titled our podcast tonight, Brian, Still Breathing, Still Growing, Still Becoming, I look at it as you're still on your journey. And you said that way earlier, which was funny because when you said that, I kind of laughed inside. I was like, oh, I think he read my notes. So Dad, your papa, always used to say, life is a funny thing. Whether things work out the way you wanted them to or not is not really what it is about. So,
Yeah, that's exactly what
do you think it's really about? If Papa were to say that to you today, what would you say to him? What is it really about?
It's all about how you take the steps in that journey.
Is it still about breathing, growing, and becoming?
Yes.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted you to say.
And I said it.
Because it's true. So again, I'm going to say, the miracle is not the event. The miracle is who you become in the process. So before I read our last quote to end tonight, do you have anything else you want to add?
I guess if If our viewers take away anything from this, I guess the best thing I can tell you is that regardless of how you go through life, you see the problems that occur around you, you influence others in how you act, how you react, how you move forward. Think about how your actions will ultimately end up pushing somebody in a certain direction that is probably not favorable. Look at how your actions can help others see the light that surrounds them instead of the darkness that is just in the corner. You have the power to do that. So, in wrapping up the entire analogies that we've made, stop focusing on the negatives so much. And look around at all the stuff that you have that you could either be thankful for, use to help and inspire others, or even help uplift yourself. Because the anger and depression I see in the world, it's getting to a point where you almost have to wonder if people are doing it on purpose, whether or not it's valid or not. It's almost easier to complain than it is to acknowledge the good. So I guess I just encourage you to maybe do that. Look around at what you have instead of what you don't have or what you've lost. That's what I have to say.
I like that. Maybe about a taking responsibility and accountability for yourself might help.
Part of it.
It is.
Don't see a lot of that in today's world either.
No, you don't. So the quote I'm going to leave us with tonight is called, "Everything is working together." If you really stop and look at the pattern in your life, you'll start to see that everything somehow works out, even the things that once felt impossible. The moments you were certain would destroy you somehow became part of what shaped you, strengthened you, and redirected your path towards something greater. The heartbreaks, the failures, the seasons where nothing made sense, the nights you thought you wouldn't make it through, and yet here you are, still breathing, still growing, still becoming. That's the part we forget when we're in the middle of the storm. We think the pain means life is against us, when many times it's actually life is repositioning us. What once looked like an ending was often protection, redirection, and preparation for something your old self wasn't ready to hold yet. There's a rhythm underneath all of us, something deeper moving through our lives that we can't always explain, a quiet intelligence, a divine order, and even when things feel chaotic on the surface, somehow the pieces continue finding their place. Look back at your life honestly and you'll see it. So many things you worried about never happened. So many things that did happen ended up teaching you exactly what you needed to learn. You've survived every hard day you thought would break you. That's what matters. Maybe the miracle isn't that life is perfect. Maybe the miracle is that despite everything, we keep finding our way forward anyway. And maybe it's time we remember that.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. So, before I read our quote to end the night, do you want to give your announcement?
Yes. So next weekend, you said Saturday, right?
Saturday night. Mm-hmm.
We are going to be having a live on TikTok. And depending on how its success goes, we may end up doing our lives exclusively on TikTok. Mm-hmm. So be sure you have an account and follow us. The link will be in the description to our TikTok below. And we really hope to see you there for some engaging conversation.
Yes, I'd love that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, our quote is, believe in yourself, be patient with yourself, and know that your best is always good enough. Know that we can be found on many different platforms like YouTube, Spotify, X, and Apple. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss another podcast. Our email is giveemheck@gmail.com. We have a Facebook at Give 'em Heck Podcast and our TikTok at Give 'em Heck Official.
All right.
And we are all set as far as you are.
Yep. So we will see you all next weekend. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.